like spot on every little part of my demos was like pretty important. So it really made me kind of like focus on being on my game and doing everything by the book. And that just kind of set the precedent for the whole week. And then having Kaisa behind me the next day was like, just keep it rolling. And my previous record for demos was 25 demos, and I did 29 last week, 6 on Monday, 5 on Tuesday, and I was just like, oh, I can actually do this. So belief, belief is huge. I'm constantly running around telling myself that I believe in myself and that I'm skilled and I'm talented and people want to sit down with me and they want to listen to me. But when they actually start doing it, I really feel that belief, and it fuels me being able to get the next person to sit down with me. So it was just like high activity. I'm going to work my little buns off this week and do as much as I possibly can. And I just did it, and I was proud of it, and I believe in myself, and there's momentum, and all those things stack up on top of each other, and each one reinforces the next. So that's what was different.
10 demos in October for the first week of October, then 6, then 20, which is pretty good, then 12, 8, 12, 10, 11, 13, 4, 3, 5, 7. Okay. So, and then we have the week of Christmas. We have, oh yeah, the week of Christmas was 3, the week of New Year was 2, 29 demos. Okay, and like his closing percentage was actually a little bit lower than other weeks in the past, right? His closing percentage was only 24, where it's usually like we got like 28, 33, 50. There's a 20, there's a 70, right? There's a 33, right? So he's had weeks where he's had better closing percentages, but just the sheer volume of putting up 29 demos, right? That's one of those things where it's like the system can either owe you or you can break the system, right? With 29 demos, I would say that you're more on the verge of breaking the system, where it's just like it will give you a big week, right? Like it's really hard to have 29 to 30 demos and for good things just to like not happen. And it um, comes down to that, right? And a really good example of this is like there was one time like I'm not good at basketball, but like I was at an arcade with some buddies and we were playing that stupid game where you like throw basketballs into the hoop and like it counts how many baskets you make, and like it'll set a timer for 10 minutes. And I'm sitting there and I'm trying to place every single shot. I'm like, okay, get it in, get it in, get it in, right? The person that I'm next to, they don't even care. They're just taking it and lobbing these balls up in the air. Boom, 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 for 2 minutes. They're just going as fast as they can, just lobbing these things up in the air. And they end up winning, right? Percentage wise, I was landing more shots. Just the fact that they were throwing more balls in the air was making things happen, right? Now, maybe not the best example. I'm not saying like when you're with somebody, don't care, right? Care about the person, take your time with these demos. However, if you're only like putting in 29 to 30 demos, you can afford to have a lower closing percentage than if you're getting like 8 demos. If you're getting 4 demos and you have a 50% closing, you're only closing 2 policies. With 29 demos and 24% closing, you're hitting, or how many families did you get last week?
7.
You're getting 7 families, right? You're literally tripling your families with a lower closing percentage by just putting in more activities.
Everything in your brain is a system that either owes you or you owe it.
For whatever reason, you broke through this mental block of, and I remember like we've talked about like, when we've talked about trying to get 25 demos, many people in this call have been like, I'm just not a 25 demo kind of person. I've never really gotten 25 demos, right? And I think that we've had good conversations like that before. We're like, it's just not really my thing. It's just I've never been able to find a way to make it work. And then literally somehow overnight, you're getting it. So walk me through like one, what was that click? And then 2, how did you internalize that click to make it so that way you were like all of a sudden like this is something that you're doing?
Mm-hmm. A lot of it had to do with the time leading up to that week, putting together my VPF. So I mean, last week was, according to my VPF, my biggest week of 2025. I planned to write 17K, and I wrote 7,500. Let's aim high, miss high, it's better than a lot of the weeks that I've been doing, and I still have
Mhm.
a lot of weeks left in the year to plan
Mhm.
for my biggest week of the year still. But I think it was just like everything that I have out on the table for this week. This is the week. This is my biggest week. I'm going to do as much as I possibly can. There's, any opportunity that I have to get in front of someone else, I'm going to do it. And I'm never going to not ask someone if I can get in front of someone else. I think before that I did have kind of a little I don't want to bother you at work mental block also. Like, but it's important. And there's been a lot of things happening to people that I've talked to that build the urgency in me, where like I had a group presentation scheduled over the holidays for a restaurant, and um, the employees got together and rescheduled it for after the holidays, um, for last week coincidentally. But like one of their waitresses broke their ankle a couple days before my, like there was like less than a week window where they would have been covered if I had gone to that group presentation before. So it's just like anything can happen at any time, and we're always saying this, but it's so true, and I'm seeing it happen more and more, and it's really important that you get in front of people now.
Yeah, it reminds me of one thing that somebody said. They're like, our product is one of the best products in the world, like there's nobody that's worse off for having our product. However, people are worse off if they don't have it. Like, you know, the only way for somebody to be protected by us and have that financial backing if something bad happens is if they actually buy the product. And a lot of new people have this like mentality of like, oh, I don't want to bother you. And I don't want to bother you at work. And maybe this isn't the right time for you. And like they're almost like stepping on eggshells all the way around. And it's like, okay, but one thing that like, Kia was trying to explain to people is like, but what is more bothering? This me talking to you about it right now, or a week, a year, 3 years from now when you're going through something like cancer or a bad accident and you actually like can't make ends meet. Right. And being able to have that confidence in the product and like what we do for people, and the fact that like, when people are like, I remember I even made a mental shift where people would be like, yeah, do you have any brochures I can take? And I'd be like, oh yeah, thank you for listening. Here's the brochures. To make a mental switch of like, yeah, but the brochures won't protect you. You take these brochures home, you break a leg, you still don't have protection. The only thing that protects you is actually having this policy. And if you actually care about this person across from you, you want them to have the policy for that reason.